The next award is actually an award that CAOT initiates, but recognizes nominations made by provincial associations. CAOT's Ontario Director, Dr. Karen Ribeiro-Gruel, regrets that she can't be present today, but has forwarded comments which I'll read. I bring greetings from the Canadian Association of Occupational Therapists and extend heartfelt congratulations to the Ontario Society of Occupational Therapists as they celebrate 100 years of supporting occupational therapists in Ontario. Thank you so much, Karen. The CAOT Citation Award is awarded annually to an agency or program that is not an occupational therapist and who is recognized for their contribution to the health and well-being of Canadians. OSOT was pleased to forward the nomination of Handi-care International. The following citation was prepared. Handi-care International is a Canadian charity and key supporter of work done by Amar Seva Sangam, or ASA, a non-governmental organization in South India that provides rehabilitation services to persons with disabilities. ASA benefits greatly from Canadian student occupational therapist fieldwork placements, which increases ASA's capacity to provide services to their community and bring helpful resource and knowledge to the organization. In return, Canadian students on placement at ASA learn skills in sustainable, ethical, cross-cultural practice. Such skills are enormously beneficial to practice back in Canada as students graduate and work with diverse client populations. Starting with one student from Western University in 2005, and growing to collaborations now with 10 Canadian universities, including all 5 Ontario occupational therapy programs, and offering nearly year-round placement opportunities. This is a strong and growing partnership. None of this would be possible without the coordination of Handi-care International, which facilitates all of the logistics for student placements, coordinating student recruitment, preceptor matching, fees, travel support, and orientation. They support students and volunteers before and throughout their trip, and they work closely with Canadian occupational therapy education programs, constantly seeking to improve the student experience. Handi-care's work is an excellent example of a sustainable long-term international partnership where benefits are shared between the 2 countries involved. India benefits from access to augmented occupational therapy services, and Canada benefits from occupational therapist graduates with rich experience and knowledge in sustainable cross-cultural practice, which they apply to their practices in Canada for the benefit of the Canadians they work with. On behalf of Karen and CAOT and OSOT, it is our great pleasure to present this award to Handi-care International. It's our pleasure to have the founder and president of Handi-care International, Mrs. Sulo Krishnamurthy, and board director, Dr. Dinesh Krishna, here with us today. Sulo, I will pass the virtual mic to you, and you can unmute.
Hi. Hi, am I audible?
You are.
Yeah, okay, great. It's a real great pleasure and honor to be a recipient of this prestigious award from your Occupational Therapy Association. And it kind of endorses what we have been doing and what we will continue to do. To members present here who don't know much about Handi-care, Handi-care was formed in the year 1992. That's almost 30 years ago. and it's a completely volunteer-run organization. We have 9 members on board and no payrolls. And so this way we keep our admin expenses below 3%. So that means we are able to use most of the 97% or more of the donations we receive towards the services that we provide and the programs that we initiate and then we manage. We started with rehabilitation, education, and empowerment of children with disabilities in rural India, poor rural India, where such services were not available. And in 30 years, we have grown a lot. And currently, we are servicing more than 3,000 children and more than 1,000 youth and adults. During the course of our journey, we have dabbled into many things, done many things, achieved many things. And one among them was many years ago, as I travel to India every year, and then I have volunteer students working for me here, there was a lot of interest and enthusiasm created for students to go to India and experience India as well as do some volunteering and learn something. That's how it started, as a very small endeavor. And the parents of these students were very happy to send their children to a very safe, secure place where they get excellent food and excellent training. So this is how it started. My children and other board members' children were also among these volunteers, and they came up with the idea. Actually, this was also a career-setting path for many of these students. When they came back to Canada, they knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they went into occupational therapy, physiotherapy, medicine, etc., to name a few. And these students thought it would be a great idea to start these clinical placements with from university graduate students, and that's how it all started. With Western University, who is a graduate from Western University and who is a doctor right now, who will be joining you in a minute or so. So that's how it started. And then we started with 1 or 2 placements, and it was a great success. There was a lot of inter-learning that was happening. People from India were for the first time exposed, rural India were for the first time exposed to Canadian students, and the language, the food, everything was challenged but exciting for both people. Not only that, the students learned a lot as to how to deliver their services in a less resource area. So they were very creative, very innovative. And also children and therapists in India learned a lot from the new technological approach and the new approach that came with Canadian students. So it was a great win-win situation. From a very small beginning, now it has grown a lot. And before I pass the mic over to Dr. Dinesh Krishna, I just want to recognize one aspect of this. We couldn't have come this far, we couldn't have done all this without the complete dedication and support of Amar Seva Sangam, who were not only willing to imbibe everything and accommodate everything, but also went out of their way to make this happen. So they learned a lot from Canadian students, and Canadian students learned a lot from them. And a lot of Canadian OT volunteers, professional volunteers, have been visiting, except for the past year and a half due to COVID. And they all have had exceptional experience. And that's how this nomination came by, with Jana and Gio and Jeff Boniface nominating us. And I thank them. And it's a great journey. I hope it continues for a long time. And thank you very much again for this award. And now I pass the mic over to Dr. Dinesh Krishna, who is the Director of Placements, and he knows more about the placement itself than I do. Thank you.
Thanks. So we are from Handi-care International. We are extremely honored to receive the Citation Award from CAOT and OSOT. So as mentioned, I'm not an occupational therapist, but I am a clinician. I work in emergency medicine and rehab medicine, in addition to being a board member at Handi-care International, and also doing work directly at Amar Seva Sangam. So through this work, I have really come to appreciate the role of occupational therapy has in the healing journey of people with disabilities. So we started offering international fieldwork placements at Amar Seva Sangam in rural Tamil Nadu for OT students. And since 2014, we've had 139 OT students across multiple universities in Canada, 10 universities, including all those in Ontario that offer OT programs, as was mentioned. Students have done placements, OT students have done placements in a number of different areas at Amar Seva Sangam, including spinal cord injury, stroke rehab, community-based early intervention and child rehab programs, special needs and integrated school, and vocational training center, to name a few. And they've worked with children and adults with disabilities. So these partnerships, as mentioned, have been extremely valuable, both for our organizations as well as for the students and the universities. So it's been a great learning experience for both parties, with OT students often citing it as one of their most valuable learning experiences during their training that taught them cross-cultural sensitivity and that often had a major impact on their careers as OTs in Canada. Many have gone on to work in rural and remote areas of Canada or other areas of global need. And many have been continued to be engaged in global health and working with vulnerable populations. It's also been a very valuable program for the service providers and the clients at our organization in India, with knowledge exchange and capacity building being key components of the program. So when this program first started, we had no OTs at Amar Seva Sangam in India, and now we have four full-time OTs. And it's actually become a place that is sought after for OTs throughout the state and throughout India to work in. And this, keep in mind, is in a country where occupational therapy is still very much an emerging field. So in this year, 2021, when students had challenges finding fieldwork opportunities due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we pivoted to virtual fieldwork placements and have offered them to 30 Canadian students this year alone across Ontario and Canada. So they did assessments, provided OT consultation and services for children and adults with disability all the way in rural India, along with Canadian and Indian OTs all connecting online. So it's been a very, despite the challenges, it's been a very nice opportunity to continue these collaborations. In addition to the clinical fieldwork placements, these partnerships have resulted in a number of research and capacity building projects, leading to more than 20 publications and presentations at global OT and rehab conferences. So there's so many individual people's effort that went into making our program successful, and I'm sorry I don't have time to mention them all, but if I could just have a quick minute, I'll mention a few. Jana McLaughlin is an OT currently working in Nunavut and doing her PhD. She first visited Amar Seva Sangam in 2005 and really helped launch this program. In addition, Christy McLaughlin, Zoe Campbell, Gia Boniface, Harsha Babani are all OTs who have been instrumental in helping grow the program. Chamila Anthony Pillay is an OT that is currently working in Nunavut. She did her placement at ASA a few years ago from McGill and is now one of our main coordinators. I also thank all the OT fieldwork coordinators across the universities in Canada and Ontario, whose partnerships have been very valuable to allow our program to go. Many of them have even gone on to visit our institution in India, including Carolyn Storr, Jeff Boniface, Heidi Lochner, Deb Cameron, to name a few, and I thank them immensely. Finally, as mentioned, I want to thank the staff at Amar Seva Sangam, in particular, Mr. Ramasubramaniam, who is the head rehab director at Amar Seva Sangam and the main coordinator of the clinical placement for OT students. In addition to the 4 OTs and the rest of the multidisciplinary team at Amar Seva Sangam that support this amazing project. So thank you so much, and apologies for taking so much time, but thank you so much for the OSOT for honoring our organization with this award. Thanks.
Thank you both so much for sharing the important work that you do. And again, to represent Karen and CAOT in our comments. We do want to thank you for the contribution you make to the advancing knowledge of student occupational therapists and our capacity to help those in India learn more about occupational therapy and meet the needs of persons who can benefit from OT services. So may I ask our membership to unmute for a moment and in this virtual capacity give you a round of applause worthy of our admiration and appreciation.
Wow.
Thank you so much.